Welcome to our elected women's luncheon for the Marin Women's Political Action Committee. My name is Catherine Hilliard, and I'm honored to be your president this year. I can't tell you how I feel about looking out at all of these beautiful, handsome, unmasked faces after 2 years of our doing everything via video, and it's not bad. We can still do that, but in person. And so I just want to make a couple of announcements before we start. First of all, I'm glad you have your food. You don't have to wait through all of this to eat. So the next thing is that restrooms. Okay, there is one restroom through the double doors here to the right. Otherwise, the restrooms are at the front entrance to the clubhouse. So you have to go out that door and go around. So it's that. I also want you to know that this is being recorded, and it will be on the mwpac.org website. So if you miss anything because of good stuff you're eating, you can always circle back and watch it. Okay. So anyway, it's just amazing to me that we are here and we're a team. People who have been here a long time and have gotten us to this point, and new people who are adding their great ideas. So we have young and old. I shouldn't say old, young and seasoned. Is it like new and used? No. Young. Okay, but it's just wonderful to see everybody here. And we sold out, which is just amazing to me. So I hope you all also got our brand new pin. We are now branding ourselves, and so you will do us a great honor by wearing the pin. And our membership is up, so this is really great. Okay, so there's also one more announcement, and that is that we have a raffle going on. So you can buy one ticket for $3 or 3 tickets for $10. 4 tickets for $10. I only got 3. Okay. Okay, so, all right, so if you need a ticket, so Christina Waldeck, who is the former elected official on Southern Marin Fire Board, is the key person to find, and we have good things to raffle off. Okay, so that is it for now. Wait just a second. Please continue eating while we continue talking. All right, so I want to welcome you, and I think the good news is that we're all here and that we're going to take women's power and get into office, and we're going to do things that haven't been done before. And I want to give you some statistics that will tell you why I'm on fire to get it done. So I did a little homework, thanks to Siri. Very easy. Since Congress was put together in 1879, there have been 12,421 people elected to Congress, both houses. You know how many of those were women? Till now, 397. And I also want to let you know that Nancy Pelosi, our good friend, was the very first Speaker of the House that's female. And all that time, since 1879, keep that in mind, okay? How many presidents have we had that are women? Got it. You got it. Okay. How about governors of California? Right. None. So that's time to make some changes here. So how do we make those changes? We make them right here because you start at the local level where the most important issues are solved. I think that having worked in all 3 levels of government, I worked in Congress as a staff person. I worked at the regional agency, ABAG, and I know about regional, and then working at the local level. This is where it's most relevant to you. You see it firsthand, you participate in it, it's local. That's why I'm so gratified to have the student leaders here and to have young people and us old ones, involved so that we can form a team and push for the things that we need and deserve. And by the way, women's issues are everybody's issues. In economic hard times, it's not just women who benefit by what we do, it's everyone. So you are really relevant and really important, and being in this room, you're already a leader. So I'm just, overwhelmed with happiness to see all of you together, and I hope you get to talk to each other. So anyway, of the population of the United States, which is now, as of 2020, 332 plus million people, women comprise 51%. It's actually 50.9. And so we need to raise the statistics here about what we do for ourselves. And policies affecting women are change for everyone. And by starting at the local level right here is the most important thing we can do. So talk to each other, help each other. There are people who are running who need help on their campaigns. There are people who are thinking about running, and one of the things that we do is to put on candidates' nights so that if you're thinking about it, you'll get exactly what it takes to run for office. And so you can say, well, I want to do it, and this is how you do it, including the forms you have to fill out. So this has been a benefit of being a part of Marin Women's PAC. I want to announce that our next event, I should probably do this at the end and I might repeat it, is Endorsement Night. And that's coming up on April 13th, and all of you in this room, by virtue of being here, will get a notice. Endorsement Night will be held at 7 o'clock at the San Rafael City Council chambers, and that's where candidates come and are able to talk about why they're running for this particular office. And then what happens is that all the members are in the audience, we caucus, and then we decide who will be endorsed. And there's a stipend that goes along with that. So we'll get a message about that. So I just wanted you to put it on your calendar. Okay, so anyway, remember the old saying, when the going gets rough? No, then women's issues, and we get going. And that's what we're going to do. So here we go. All right, so here's our program for today. Please keep eating. So I don't want you to starve. Okay, so yeah, you can tell that I'm a feeder. All right, and the raffle will happen after we finish with the program. Okay, so I would now like to introduce a very distinguished person to introduce our students who are here today, and that is Superior Court Judge Lynn Taylor. Lynn, yeah. Lynn has a tremendous background in serving as a judge for many years, and also on something called JAMS, which is a judicial group of former judges that act as mediator and arbitrator for serious cases. Unfortunately, I've been before JAMS in my life.
Goody.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you.
Yes, except I was on the opposite side. No, we were a construction industry problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I would like to introduce you, and could you introduce the students?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay. I won't mess it up. I
No.
promise. Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited because I get to introduce the students and try to pronounce their names. We practice, but no guarantees, no warranties. So these are our student leaders for 2022. All right, we're going to start with Dominican University. Are you all over here? Oh, the whole group of you, all three of you. Okay, let's try this. First, Solina Ornelas. Did I get it right? Oh, goody. Okay. She's a Dominican political science. Tell me what you do. Come on, stand up.
I'm the president of the Dominican Political Science Association.
Yay. Okay. Okay, Christina. Okay, this is a good one. Pathenthong?
Yes.
Right? Oh, good. All right. So she's vice president of the
Dominican Political Science Association.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, Julia Reinhardt. Okay, stand up. They want to see you. Okay. So tell them about you.
And I'm the secretary of the Dominican Political Science Association.
Okay. You got the whole board right there. Okay, now we're on to the College of Marin. All right, yay. There's a cheerleader back there. Can you hear her? Wandine. For years on the board, right? How many years, Wandine?
26.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for your service. That's a big commitment. Okay, so we have Emma. Let me try this. Mittereg? Yeah. Did I get it right? Yeah. Hot damn. Okay. And stand up and tell them what you do.
I'm the vice president of the Associate Students of College of Marin.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. And Fernanda Davila. Rats. Okay, not good. All right. I actually got her name right, too, I think. And Libby Denny. Okay, Libby, stand up, turn around, let them see how beautiful you are. Okay, tell them what you do.
I am the Secretary of Student Services and Activities for College of Marin.
Okay. Okay, now we have Terra Linda High School. All right, Peyton Juarez.
Hello.
Hey, Peyton. Tell them what you do.
I'm my high school's ASB co-president.
Jenna Miller.
Hi. I am the other co-president.
Natalie Tarr.
Hi. I'm a part of the Marin School of Environmental Leadership and a student volunteer.
Okay, turn around. They want to see you the other side, too. Let's see here. And then we have Faith Coleman.
Hello. I'm just a student volunteer. I do a lot of work there.
Okay, now we have Tamalpais Union High School District. Oh, there's a huge list here. Let's see here. Shyla Lessing.
Hi everyone, I'm Shyla. I am a junior and I am the class vice president of the junior class at Redwood High School.
Okay, I'm not sure about this one. I got the ruby, I got the rose. Amezcua? Amezcua? Amezcua. Okay, I'll try that again. Amezcua. So stand up and tell them what you do.
My name is Ruby Rose Mesqua. I go to Tamalpais High School. I'm the president of Students Organized Against Racism and senior class president.
Jasmine Pena.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Pena. I'm the Student Board of Trustees for San Andreas High School, and I'm also on the Racial Justice Task Force.
Iris Canavan. Is she here? There you go.
Hello, I'm Iris. I'm from Temescal, and I'm the co-president of Students Taking Action Against Racism.
Wonderful. And Rafaela Farahani.
I'm the other co-president of Students Take Action Against Racism with Iris at Temescal.
Okay, great. Turn around so they can see you. So let's give our student leaders a big round of applause. Yay.
Thank you so much, Judge Taylor, for that wonderful introduction, and thanks to all of you, and look how important you are to us. Let's do it again. Okay. Next, it's really my honor and pleasure to introduce someone who's been incredibly valuable to Marin County since 2006, for 16 years. Even before that, as on the city council in Novato, and even before that, in her service. I want to tell you these little inside things. So she was born in Kansas City and was raised there, and her mother was the first TWA stewardess, and her uniform is in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And her dad who was the biggest influence on her public service, was an attorney who had to do it in 2 parts, but he made it. He was an attorney. And the other thing is that she was in the Peace Corps under Kennedy and who was Shriver, right. And then she came to Marin in 1966 and has lived here ever since, and was featured in a Marin magazine article that I read in 2011. These are the other remarkable things. She was with John Burton and was a campaign manager for Supervisor Giacomini. Many of you in this room don't remember who that is, but you might see signs about his influence. And John Burton was a major force in the state legislature. As a matter of fact, when I walked in one day to try to have him help us with some legislation, he said, "Hey kid, you got 5 minutes to tell me what you want and how to get it done." And so it was very intimidating. You've heard about the elevator speech? Well, that was it. And so he taught everybody a lot, and you were right there in the forefront. Thank you so much. And then the reason I quote that article from 2011 was because you said in that article, "I'm really concerned with the rise of the Tea Party, that DC will come to a standstill." So you predicted it in 2011. Okay, so it's my pleasure and honor to introduce Supervisor Judy Arnold. Thank you. It's fine.
There we go. Gosh, it's so great to see you all today. Thank you so much for this. The Women's Political Organization, your support has been so important to me through the years, and I want to thank you for that. I've always supported what you've done, and I remember the days when there never would have been a group like this, especially groups where there are elected women. So congratulations. I think we've come a long way, baby. I always wanted to be in government, and when I was in high school, I decided that I wanted to go to the Peace Corps. And it was because John Kennedy was the president. And for those of us who were really young, you know, first babies, and he came on, and the way he could phrase things and the way that, well, just what he did too, really inspired you so that you thought, I want to be in government. I could do something. I could help. And so I joined the Peace Corps, and I was going to Costa Rica, but first I had to wait. So I had 2 friends who worked for John Kennedy. They had worked in his campaign, and so when he was elected, he appointed one to be one of his assistants to Evelyn Lincoln, his top person, and the other one worked for Pierre Solinger, who was the press guy. So they invited me. They say, "Come on, we'll take you on a tour of the White House." And so I did. And the president and his wife were in Paris at that time, but I saw their nanny taking little John around in his stroller. And so then I got a call from one of my 2 friends from Goucher, and she said, "Come over to the White House today at lunch." And so I said, okay. So so you had to walk through. You say walk through the Rose Garden and follow it was Secret Service. Follow them, and then you were in this big room, and my friend Jill was there, and it was the president of Argentina was coming that day, and they were having a luncheon. So I saw all of these people that you see on TV walking in to the lunch, and then the door opened, and the president walked in, and by the way, he was taller than you can imagine and really handsome. And so he came over to Jill, and he met the one. She had brought another girl who was going to be his intern, and then he looked at me and he said, "And you're our first person. You're going to Costa Rica." And I said, "Costa Rica, yeah, Costa Rica." And so, that was a great experience. Anyway, came back, moved to Marin County, joined the League of Women Voters, which is a great organization to first get in touch with government and how it works. And so then I was asked to meet with Gary Giacomini to talk about transportation, because I had been working in that in the League of Women Voters. So then he asked me if I would be his campaign manager. He was from the Valley, and he was on the school board, but really didn't know much about the rest of the county in that sense. And so I did that. I sort of told him all about the transportation and the need for it, et cetera, et cetera. So then he asked me one day if I would be his campaign manager, and I said yes. You have to understand this. This was the first time. This was in 1971. It was the first time that a woman was whose name was, she's the campaign manager. The way the campaigns went before that was the candidate, who was always a man, would pick another man that was very well known, like a judge or a very big businessman, but it was the women that ran the campaign. And so, but this time they put in in the IJ saying that Judy, I wasn't Judy Arnold then, but Judy Ainsworth is the campaign manager for Gary Giacomini. Anyway, he won. And when he won, he said, "I need an aide." And he went before the Board of Supervisors, and he said, "Look, I have this huge district." He was in the 4th district, which included West Marin. "I need someone here to help. I've had, 5 or 6 people volunteering for me. I want to know what, I need that." And finally, the board voted to say that he could have an aide. It wasn't a 5-0 vote. In fact, I don't think the Novato one voted for it, but I remember that. But anyway, I became the county's first aide. So my first day on the job, a memo came through, and it was from one of the other supervisors, and it said, "Who is this Judy Ainsworth, and we're sure not going to have lunch with her, because that would change everything about lunch. And so what do we do? What is this about?" So my first day as aide was just sitting in the office. I don't think I did have lunch, just going, "Oh, what is this?" By the time I left, all the supervisors wanted an aide. And, and I... And it was a great job. And when I was there, I thought, a supervisor is the way to go. It's because you're in a big enough facility that you have some power, and because you are the bosses there, the city managers aren't so much. I mean, well, anyway. And also, you're close enough that, if you have a problem, you can walk down the hall to Public Works and say, you've got to fix this pothole. And so I really loved that job. And did that for 2 years, and then moved to Point Reyes Station. While I was there, I organized and created the Point Reyes Village Association, which really helped balance the mood at that point in time, where it was all business, and the businessmen wanted this and the businessmen wanted that, and so we brought in a little bit of environment there. I was president of that, and it was pretty daunting as we were discussing if we wanted to support putting in a big storage unit downtown Point Reyes, and there were about 6 ranchers who had just been at the Two Ball Inn having a nice time, walking in, wanting wanting this storage unit, and of course my organization was, had a lot of, if you're going to do it, you have to do this. Anyway, I loved Point Reyes, and we moved back then to Novato in about 13 years. My friend Margie Goodman, how many of you here know Margie Goodman? I mean, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Margie Goodman. She was known as being, if you run for office, and Margie Goodman will be the one that channels who you should walk to and what you should say. And so so she called me one day and she said, look, John Burton, she had worked for John Burton when he was a congressman, and she called me and she said, John just won. He's the state senator. He also covers Marin. And he told me that he wants me to run the Marin office, and I can bring anyone I want to help. And so, will you do it? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. So John had a reputation. I didn't know too much about John. I'd met him once. He doesn't talk much. Margie was Gary's aide. She was Gary's aide for about 20 years, and so she had to wrap up his office. So I was upstairs in the Civic Center where the senator's office was, and just kind of watching and trying to read about state government because I didn't know anything about it. And so I had gotten a call asking me if the senator would send an article to family. There was a magazine called Family Units or something, and they said, would you have the senator send in something about families? So I was writing something, sent it in, and the phone rang. Now, first of all, I should say that Burton was known for his language. So I'm not going to say what he said, but I'll say the first letter. So the phone rang, and I picked it up, and I said, Senator Burton's office, and this voice said, what the F is a nuclear family? And that was my first. Anyway, I worked for John for 10 years, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I really learned how to govern from him. And during that time, I thought, I want to do this. I saw how he could help people. I saw how he could change things. And so I said to Margie, I think I'd like to run for city council. And she said, I'll be your campaign manager. When she said that, I knew, okay, this has to be God. And so I ran for city council, really not having any experience in Novato government, but state government. And so many of the people in Novato were saying, at candidates' nights, they say, she works for John Burton, and he takes all the money away from the cities, and this is so bad. But anyway, that I'd knock on the door and say, I work for Senator Burton, and I've helped some of you who've called our office. And so anyway, I won. And so 2 years later, there was going to be an opening on the council, on the city council, and I decided to run for not city council, supervisor. There was an empty seat for supervisor, and from Novato, and I decided I was going to run. So I ran. That was a hard campaign. I ran for supervisor, and I won. And I've been there since 2006, and I have loved the job. Every morning I'm happy to get up and go to work, even with all the tough things that we've had in these last 2 years have been really rough. And I feel so for the people that have gone through it. And but it's a great job, and I want to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. Oh yes, so when I was first elected, it's a whole different thing. I own the 5th district. And no other supervisor's generally going to come in and do anything unless we have a long talk. Or there are some issues that are so big that, it doesn't matter. But you learn, you just don't realize how much you can do. And if you see the stickers on the restaurants, I put those in because there was a teenage boy that kept saying to me, "How come we don't have something so we know which restaurant to go in and it's good?" And so I took that to the board and we got that in. Just little things like that you think. I have a great story about Hal Brown. He was one of my favorite supervisors. And he reminded me of John Burton, and I think that's why we got along so well. But I had gotten a word from Indian Valley that they wanted to name this a certain road after a man who lived in Indian Valley who had done so much for the group, and they wanted to name part of this trail after him. So I went to the woman who was the head of Parks and Open Space and said, "This is what I want to do." And she said, "No, you can't do that because the board of not the board of supervisors, but the board who handles the Parks and Open Space, they said, no, they just passed a thing where you have to have this long, things that you've done, and this has been county-wide." So I said, "Oh, okay." So I told Hal Brown about this. And he said, "What the hell?" He said, you can do anything you want. If you want to name that, you go name it. And I thought, whoa. So the next Board of Supervisor meetings, I said, "I'd like to ask the board to please support naming half of this road, this park area after and the name of the man that they wanted to honor." And the board said 5-0, and that was it. And I thought, this is a great job. Because, women we learn, first of all, my generation, it was Betty Crocker. And then all of a sudden we were wearing mini skirts, and it was like this huge change, and we kept bringing the Betty Crocker in there, and you have to kind of get rid of that. But I think the biggest, and then I added, we had, the county had, I'm almost done, the county had 3 E's that we said this is what we're gonna concentrate on: the environment, equity, and economy. And so I brought in, I think we should add education. And so we did. So we now have 4 E's in that. So I was proud of doing that. And I think the biggest thing that when I look back on, just because it was so enormous, was bringing in SMART. And the reason I think I was so instrumental in doing that, not because I'm an engineer or told anyone, but because it was really foundering? Yeah, all right. So, thank you. Because it had become so political. And so it was really becoming a political thing instead of, let's get the train built. And so one day, I was vice chair then, and the woman, Valerie Brown from Sonoma, was the chair. And so she called me one day and she said, "I don't know what to do." She said, no one who's working at SMART has an idea of how this should go. I don't know. You don't know, Judy. I don't know what to do. And I said, "I'll call you right back." And I got in the car and I drove to the Civic Center, and I went up to the head of Parks and Open Space. I went up to the head of the
Public Works.
That's it. Thank you. And I walked in, and Farhad Mansourian was there, and I said, would you come and straighten out SMART for a short period of time? And he said, yeah, I will. And so he came, and he stayed, and that is how you got your train. And the day that we had the inauguration, it drove in to the where we were all standing, and it showed it coming in, and it started running, and it ran, and yes, there were problems, but we had a train, and Farhad was the guy that made it happen, because he said, this isn't a political thing, this is a public works project, so let's get it done. And he did. And I brought him in. I just want to thank you again, everyone, for helping me stay in the job that I've loved so much. Your support has really meant a lot. And I just wish all good luck to the future candidates. And I want to thank all of the women like Barbara Matas, who are behind what happens and makes it work. So thank you all. It's been great to hear, and thank you for all you're doing, and keep doing it. Did I drop something? Okay.
No, I want you to.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much, Supervisor Arnold, and you've heard some of the ways that we have broken the glass ceiling. I think you all know what that means. There is a ceiling we try to reach to become CEOs. We try to reach to become top-level elected officials. We can see it, but we can't get there. That's the glass ceiling. So in honor of you and all of your accomplishments, MWPAC would like to present you with this brooch, which is the glass ceiling. Thank you so much.
Wow. You know, I wore brooches all the time. Who?
Madeline Albright,
Madeline,
I'm thinking.
I love, yeah, I have a lot. This is the best.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you so much. Now, this is what Supervisor Arnold just said, is all of the people in the room who are elected officials and those who are candidates. I would now like to introduce you. First, the elected officials, and then the candidates. And I'll ask you all to stand and get recognized so everybody can see you, and then we'll hold our applause to the end. Okay, so, as soon as I find it. Just a minute. Okay. First, the elected officials, and that obviously County Supervisor Judy Arnold. These are in alphabetical order, by the way. I would like to introduce Lisa Bennett, Sausalito Marin City District School Board, back there. Mary Beth Bushy, City Council Member, San Rafael. Jenny Calloway, representing Congressman Jared Huffman. Are you here? Okay. Kate Collin, Mayor of San Rafael. Kate, get up, Kate. Okay, all right. Damon Connolly, our County Supervisor for District 1 and a supporter of MWPAC for years. Gina Daly, Board of Trustees of San Rafael City School District, who will also stand up later. She's also a candidate. Christine Soto DeBerry, Southern Marin Fire District Board of Directors. Helen Dillon Knutson, former mayor of Novato, College of Marin Board and Novato Sanitary District right now, and 2 times president of this organization before it evolved into Marin Women's PAC. I think it was called the National Women's Political Caucus. Yes. Are you there? Did you stand? There she is. Okay, great. Faye DeOpel, retired Superior Court judge and famous to all of us. Hi, Faye. Lori Frigoli, who is our district attorney, who is on the ballot again, and you can stand up again later. Diane Gasson, Board of Directors of Novato Unified School District. Ida Green, President of the Sausalito Marin City School District. Hi, Ida. There you go. Okay. Barbara Heller, retired from the San Rafael City Council. Michelle Hodge, member of Mill Valley School District Board of Directors. Megan Hutchinson, board member of Miller Creek Elementary School District. Linda Jackson, president of San Rafael School District. Hey, Linda, great. Pamela Camina, retired district attorney of Marin. Pamela. Rachel Kurtz, who, by the way, city council member from San Rafael, has helped us get the city council chambers so we could do our endorsement night. Thank you so much, Rachel. Cynthia Kohler, director of Marin Municipal Water District, in the news these days. Joan Lubomirski has had her own career, but is representing Assembly Member Mark Levine. Thank you for being here. Pam Meigs, member of Ross Sanitary District. There she is, and running for office. Okay. Max Perry, council, did I say that wrong? Max Perry? Perry, council member elect. Okay. And Katie Rice, Supervisor Katie Rice. There she is, yay. District 2. Shelley Scott, Marin County Clerk and Assessor. Thank you. Lynn Taylor, retired judge. Lynn, there you are. Okay. Holly Tier, former mayor and member of the City Council of Tiburon. Thanks, Holly. Wandon Trainer, trustee, College Board of Marin for a long time. And thank you for your service to everybody. Pat Warren, member of the Marin County School Board. Pat, are you here? I don't see her. Catherine Way, former mayor and now city council member of Larkspur, and an active member. I want to thank you all for your service. It's fabulous. Okay, so now guess who's running? Here come the candidates. All right. So I'd first like to introduce Sarah Amendzada, 10th District Assembly District. Sorry. Damon Connolly, Assembly District. Sorry, 10th. Damon? Okay. Let's see. Gina Daly, Supervisor, Marin County, District 1. Lori Frigoli, for re-election as District Attorney. Ida Green, who is running for Assembly District. Michelle Cernsish Hodge, Superintendent of Marin County Schools. Cynthia Kohler, for re-election to the Marin Municipal Water District, MMWD, that's it. Thank you. Magali Lamita, who is running for the Novato City School Board of Directors. Great, thank you. And Pam Meigs, who's running for re-election to the Ross Valley Sanitary District. No? Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's it. Okay, yeah, that's great. This is the best kind of election when nobody opposes you. Okay, and Mary Sackett, Supervisor, County District 1. And Mary. Shelley Scott, re-election to Assessor. I believe you're also unopposed, is that right? Congratulations, that's great. Wandon Trainer, re-election to the Marin Board of College of Marin Board. You're willing to do more. Okay, that's great. Emily Uhlhorn, who is a re-election to the Mill Valley School Board. Are you? Okay. Pat Warren, re-election to the Marin County Board of Education. Is Pat here? Okay. Catherine Way, who is up for re-election to the Larkspur Town Council. There she is. I hope you will. I mean, it says here you're not certain. Is that?
Until November, so I have time.
Okay, well, let's encourage her to please do it. Please do it. That's great. Okay. All right. Thanks. So you can see what powerhouse we are here. You know, everybody. Everybody. Okay, next is our keynote speaker. Just a moment. And I have the pleasure and honor of introducing my colleague who is a director on the Southern Marin Fire District Board of Directors. And Christina Soto DeBerry is an attorney and a policy strategist with over 20 years of experience, but to look at her, you wouldn't think so. Generating and implementing criminal justice reforms and drawing from her own life experience as an immigrant, crime victim, and social justice advocate. Her work as both a public defender and a prosecutor have focused on healing and honoring human dignity. Christine shaped the agenda of the San Francisco District Attorney's Office under George Gascon and continued this work of developing large-scale policy reforms under the current District Attorney, Chesa Bodine. She implemented policies to end monetary bail, eliminate sentence enhancements, and reduce stop and frisk by police. In the wake of the pandemic and demands for police reform, she reduced the jail population in San Francisco by 45% and implemented a slate of police accountability measures. After a decade of serving as chief of staff for both of these offices, Christina left and found the new Prosecutors Alliance, the nation's first reform-focused law enforcement association. In its first year, and I'm really amazed about this, in its first year, the Alliance has secured 4 elected prosecutors that represent 30% of California's population, 850 members comprising prosecutors, victim advocates, and allies from more than 17 California counties, held monthly trainings that attract over 200 attendees, launched a survivor center to ensure reform conservation is inclusive of the survivors' voices and prioritizes healing. And in her spare time, she serves with me on the Southern Marin Fire District Board of Directors. It's my pleasure to introduce you, Christine.
Good afternoon. We are officially into the afternoon hour. I hope you all can stick with me here, but it's a pleasure to be here. 29 years ago, I was arrested and spent 2 days in county jail. And it changed the course of my own life. As you heard from the introduction, I have spent my career in law enforcement for many of it. But when I was in college at UCLA, I was attempting to get my degree in Chicano Studies, and there was no department of Chicano Studies at UCLA. And my efforts to get that degree were delayed, along with all the other students interested in that work. So we decided to hold a sit-in to get the chancellor of the university to meet with us to talk about our very reasonable request to have a Chicano Studies department in Los Angeles. And instead, we got a date with the LAPD. It was a surprise to all of us. It wasn't what we had expected. I had put a toothbrush and toothpaste in my backpack thinking we were going to be there for a day or two before the chancellor realized we were really serious about this. But as I sat there, I was handcuffed along with all my peers leaning against the wall, and I thought, how did this happen? I just want to talk to the chancellor about my education, and can't they see that we're all so committed to learning our history so we can contribute to the future, that we're leaning in? But it wasn't perceived that way, right? We were perceived very differently in that moment. And the words of one particular police officer that was there kept running through my mind. And he said, we had been sitting there for about 10 hours at this point while they figured out what to do. and they were eating pizza. And one of the officers was kind of chomping on his pizza, and he said, any of you here wanted to go to law school, you can forget it. And he's walking up and down the row. And now listen, I had no interest in law school at that point. I was on bonus rounds being in college. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I felt like I've made it. I hadn't really thought about what was coming next, but I couldn't believe that my educational opportunities could get taken away. I thought, is that true? And I'm looking at my friends on either side of me like, what is happening right now? We are in like some parallel universe I don't understand. And I had no idea in that moment. And we got taken on buses to county jail, and I was along with about 49 other of my female students. And when we got there, they said, hey, you have bail, $50,000. If you can't pay it, you're coming in here. Well, there wasn't a single one of us who could pay it. And so there we were, getting admitted to county jail. And that means getting strip searched in front of your classmates and multiple guards in ways you don't really think about when you say someone goes to jail, or I didn't before that very moment when I'm standing there thinking, what is happening? And they took our clothes and our jewelry, the retainer of my girlfriend, literally everything, and exchanged that for county blues. And then they took our names and they gave us digits and told us to memorize them because that's how we would be identified and call out who we were. We were no longer the students and the children that we had shown up there as. And it changed me. It was devastating. And I was in there, and they put us in a unit with women that had been accused of committing crimes. They had been in jail. And as we're walking in, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I mean, I am so unprepared for this. Like, all right, I don't know, like, I'll fight if I have to. I'm not sure what it's going to be. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It was a community of women, and they were cheering us on when the newspaper came out and they saw what we were working on. And I thought, there's so many misconceptions here. And we got released a couple days later. None of us were charged, of the women. And we went on, continued organizing, and after a few months, we had a hunger strike, and eventually there was created a Chicano Studies department at UCLA. And I became a lawyer. So, as Catherine said, I'm much more than that, but it is one of the pivotal experiences I had in my life. And it sometimes can be hard to share. It's a vulnerable thing to share. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, presumably. But I think that's what leadership asks of us, is to bring our whole selves to the work, to share the pretty and the ugly parts of ourselves, because we're all of those things, right? None of us gets through this without a mistake. None of us gets through this living every day as our best day. And so those were the things that I've learned from, and they allowed me to dedicate my life to working on criminal justice issues. Because what I saw in that jail, I thought, how could this possibly be the answer? How could this be our best thinking about how to intervene when somebody does something serious? And I just couldn't get to a place of being okay with that. And I went to law school and dedicated my life to it. I started as a public defender. And I spent all my time telling prosecutors, jail is not going to fix this problem. And sometimes I succeeded, and more times I didn't. And then I became a prosecutor and had the real responsibility of thinking about, there's somebody who's been hurt, and how are we going to deal with that? And it has motivated me every day to think about the women that I met in that process, the women that I was going to school with at that time, and to carry with me the truth that none of us are the worst mistake we ever made, and that love is a much better solution to problems than fear. And in the criminal justice system, we've spent decades, I mean, as many as I've been alive and many more than that, on a system that's really oriented around fear. And the solutions and the responses we have to crime are fear. But the problem is, Fear can't get rid of fear. Only love can do that. And so I've spent my career trying to think about what are the ways that we really infuse love into the work. And I try every day when I show up to work, whether that was as a public defender or as a prosecutor, or now running the Alliance, working on statewide issues, what are the ways that love can transform this? What are the ways that we can have meaningful accountability, right? That we can center the person that's been harmed and help them recover, and put the person that caused that harm on the right path. We can do both of those things. They don't have to live in tension. In the same way that reform and safety don't have to live in tension. They complement one another. And what love shows us is that all of those things can exist. That we can have safe communities without being excessively punitive, without being racially disparate, without being all the worst things in our system. But it requires all of us to be engaged in that process. It requires us to be honest about the history of where our criminal justice system comes from. Because if we're not, we're doomed to repeat what that was. And in this country, unfortunately, because of our history, so many things are shackled with the legacy of slavery, of the fact that we enslaved people. And if you look at jails and prisons and police, the similarities are eerie. And they're things that require our very careful scrutiny. Taking away someone's freedom is a very serious endeavor, and many people in this room have had to do it. It is not something to be taken lightly, and I know that no one does. But what are the other responses we will put in that path? What are the ways that we can walk further away from that history and closer to, as you all are working on here, a new day, a new way? The events of 2 years ago, when we all watched in horror in Minneapolis when George Floyd's life was taken, and then Breonna Taylor's life was taken. And so many of us were at rallies and marches and trying to think about what are the ways we do something? How do I, individual me that doesn't work on that, do something? And that was a really important turn. It's nothing I'd experienced in my life prior to that moment, and I think is filled with promise for us and the ways we can move forward. And I would argue was a moment filled with love, where all of us thought, that isn't my experience, that isn't my community, but I feel that. I feel the humanity of that person and what happened, and that nobody's life should be taken that way. And there's incredible power for all of us in that, incredible opportunity. The great thing about love is that it inspires hope. And that's always what it takes to make change. It doesn't happen without a belief that it can be different, even if it's far-flung and it seems impossible in the moment you start that journey. It doesn't happen without that. I was honored to be asked to speak by Catherine today and to see all of the work that's happening here in the Marin Women's Political Action Committee, and it's exciting. To see a room full of so many accomplished women and many more coming behind them is a really remarkable legacy. And it fills me with a lot of hope and a lot of love and a lot of pride to be here with all of you and to think about how do we continue that journey here in this county? What does it look like for us to live out the political enthusiasm with that same kind of love? And I reflect on that. I don't know if any of you read or have read Bell Hooks, but we just lost her last year. She's an amazing feminist, if you haven't had a chance to read her work. And all of her scholarship is about love, and how love is the opportunity to create connection, to create political power that's intersectional, that helps us to see not just our own experience as women, as having suffered from being oppressed or marginalized, but to see the issues that confront a woman of color in that moment, that confront someone from the LGBTQ community, that confront somebody that's non-binary. And I think those are the exciting places that this work can go, because of course the next Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in Marin County. So is the next Kamala Harris. They're maybe in this room, right? And the work of this group and these women to bring forward those voices and those leaders, wow. Those are the things that get me up every morning. Those are the things that fill my heart with hope. I had the chance a few years ago to go back to UCLA. They invited me back along with the other students that were involved to thank us. And one of them's a judge now. She also obviously was a lawyer, so we had a moment of laughing about that. And one of the girls, when it was happening, she said, continually throughout the 10 hours that we were there, said, "It's okay, they're not going to take us to jail. There's no way they're taking us to jail." I'm like, this really feels to me like we're going to jail. I don't know like where you think this escape hatch is, but I'm feeling like it's getting not better, right? So when I saw her, I was like, "Lucy, right?" They took us to jail. And she said, "Yeah, I never thought that was going to happen." But I had, when I was there, just this, and I hope you've all had it in your lives. I'm sure you had, because you continue to sustain in the work you do. This moment of just incredible satisfaction at seeing a department now that more and more people have poured their love and commitment into. And it has about 600 students at any given time in the major. And they started conferring doctoral degrees. You can get a PhD in Chicano Studies, Central American Studies at UCLA now, because a little ragtag group of us were like, we want to meet with the chancellor. So you never know. We never know where these paths are heading. If you had told me that when we started, I probably would have been intimidated out of doing it. But those are the risks, and those are the courageous moments that change the world. And you all are doing it, especially the young women in this room and all the activism you're already involved in. Those are the things. They're going to change you, and they're going to change the world around you in really remarkable ways. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see your contributions and to cheer you all on as you step into the leadership roles that are being filled now. I hope that we can use love as a guiding principle in all of our work. I see it most closely in the criminal justice system, but I bet you all see it in education, in climate, in all the things you work on, in the ways that love allows us to work together and not be divided, allows us to see the humanity of every single person in our community and their worth. And love is brave, and it frees, and it heals. So I hope that gas in your engine is love, that you use it to power your motor, and that we can ride alongside each other and continue to make this world a better place. I'm excited to be on the journey. If I can be a help or support to any of you, I want to be. I'm honored to be in this community, and let's keep going.
Wow. I don't know what to say after that. I think I did not know all of this about you, Christine. The token is the flowers in front of you, as well as you, are for you, to say thank you so much. I thought you would do something special for us, but I didn't realize how special. And there's nothing that can follow that. So, back to earth. Okay, right. Okay. I just want to. Yeah. Are you still selling tickets, really? But anyway, you heard it. You got it firsthand, and all of you are talking to each other and talking to us, and together we're going to go forward. Our theme last year, as it is this year, is new way, new day, new way. And we're going to connect with each other. Right, Magali? We're going to, and Rachel, wherever you are, and all of the younger people who are coming into the organization, and Mo, there you are. Yeah, we're going to do this. All right, so now how do we handle the raffle?
I'm still selling tickets.
Oh, yeah, no. No. So I wanted to at the very beginning and didn't do it, to thank the previous presidents of this organization. So I'm just going to call their names. Some of them are here and some weren't able to make it. As soon as just a minute. So what happened is this group started out as a National Women's Caucus, and we're almost done. So, and it started out, Barbara Boxer started it, and then this group decided that they would pull away because we were not allowed to have men in any form do any kind of support or endorsement. And this group felt that there are men who support women's causes, and therefore that we should at least hear them out, and they have been supportive to us. So I'm very grateful for that. So the first president was Barbara Matas, 2010 to 2013. Next came Michelle Barney, 2014 to 2016. Then Gina Brewer, who is sitting at the table over here, 2017 to 2020. And then Stephanie O'Brien from the College of Marin, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. So she was from 2021 to 2022. I would like to give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. And it's my hope that what you've heard today in this room and what we're going to do together going forward, we will build on this. I'm going to ask all of you to network with your friends in school and tell them about this and see if we can get them involved. There are campaigns where people need help with distribution of information, the idea of using love, and to counteract the tremendous amount of fear that seems to be in our country right now is absolutely brilliant, and we can do this.